Welcome everybody back to Real Talk. We have our real exclusive agent, Maila, in the house. Maila, it's so good to just have you come on set, and we're so excited to just share, or to have you share your expertise regarding the town of Mililani.
Thank you for having me,
No,
Alex.
we're so blessed. We're so blessed.
Oh, no, same here.
Yeah, so I remember just you telling me that Mililani is one of those towns where you actually grew up in as a child, or what's the story behind there? And yeah, what's your relationship to the town of Mililani?
I begged you actually to let me do Mililani.
Really?
Like, please, I love Mililani. Let me talk about it. When we moved from Missouri to Oahu when I was about 9 years old, we first lived in Wahiawa for a little bit because that's where my mom is from. So we moved in with grandma and we spent time with cousins and aunties. And then about a year later, we moved to Mililani. And I loved it the minute I moved there. It's just such a well-planned community. There's rec centers, there's parks. I mean, it's just really done right for families and, just for coming home and feeling like, this is my home and this is where I live after a long day. Because one of the downsides of Mililani is it's a little out there, right? It's far from Honolulu. You're pretty much going to face traffic every single day. But once you make it through all the traffic and you get home, you feel good.
When you talk about well-planned, right? I mean, we know just Oahu in general, right? When it comes to urban planning, maybe we're not quite as up there in terms of maybe compared to the mainland, but we're seeing all these new pockets of new communities being developed. And could you just kind of speak about, Castle Cooke, I believe, was the developer, right? But just the planning that they had for this master community, they pretty much upped the game compared to a lot of other neighborhoods that you see around town.
They really did. Castle Cooke, I believe Mililani was developed back in the 70s, and in the 80s they won an award in Mililani for being the all-American city. And now that we see these other communities coming up like Koa Ridge, Ho'opili, some of the gentry communities, North Park and Makamai, you can really see that they took a page out of Castle Cooke's book and followed along. You know, Castle Cooke planned the roads the right way, planned multiple ways to get in and out of the town, not just one way in, one way out, like a master plan cul-de-sac, right? It's actually like there's different veins to get in. Shopping areas, there's several of them. Movie theater, and then rec centers. Mililani has like 7 recreation centers with swimming pools and community areas where you can gather, and the fee to belong to it is like nothing. I believe right now the Mililani Town Association HOA is about $40 every 3 months.
Super affordable.
No big deal, right? And then you pay maybe a very small fee to get your membership card to those rec centers. And all of that was really spearheaded by Castle Cooke and by the Mililani Town Association.
So just the value that you get for those small costs, right? It totally outweighs, it's a town that has so much to offer.
It's true.
Yeah.
Tree-lined streets, right? Wide streets, cul-de-sacs, like the things that you think about when you think about an all-American city, perhaps even how I grew up in the 80s. Those were the neighborhoods.
I'm right there with you.
Okay, good. Right on. Familiar company.
Yes.
But when you grew up in the 80s, like that was what you watched on television, right? When you think about the movie E.T. or Goonies and the kids all running around outside safely, that's what Mililani really is. It's this own little kind of protected pocket where kids can be kids and families can barbecue and talk to their neighbors, and it really creates this sense of community. That's what I love about Mililani. And so coming here as a child and living in Wahiawa is like the complete opposite of Mililani. Wahiawa is your plantation town, right? You don't have sidewalks and wide streets. The streets are a little more narrow, but Mililani was exactly what I wanted.
I mean, it's one of those few towns over here where you enter Mililani, you feel like you're in the mainland, or you feel like you're, wait, is this still Hawaii?
Right. And we don't say that, and I know that is like a common comment. Mililani feels like the mainland. And that's not meant to be derogatory, because when you live in Hawaii, you want to feel like you live in Hawaii.
But the wide streets, the space,
it's planned, you know, you feel like you have space. Because that's one of the issues we have here on Oahu is we don't have enough land to build, right? And so that's why things just kind of like sometimes there's lack of planning. Homes get built like on top of each other, you're adding on to the back and whatever, right? But Mililani was one that was thought out from the very beginning.
When it comes to just the overall planning, can you talk a little bit about, you know, I think about Mililani Town, and then there's Mililani Malka too, but two, you know, it's the same town, but kind of two
Very
separate
different.
divisions, very different.
Very different. Mililani Town is lower Mililani, I guess. When I say lower, I mean direction. Right? Closer to the Kaala Mountain, closer to Waipahu. And the homes there, they're wonderful. Lots of space. But Malka came later. Malka was developed more in the 90s, late 90s into the early 2000s. And they really just took Mililani into the future with those homes. So those homes have more insulation. Some of them have central AC, whereas a lot of the homes in Mililani Town, they're more like your older Hawaii homes with jealousy windows, and they're more A-frame. However, the cool thing about that, though, is that that style of home is making this like resurgence, right? People like that mid-century modern, you know,
never really
character.
gets old, right?
It doesn't. So, and there's a lot you can do with homes like that. But up in Malka, the homes were, again, developed a little bit later with, you know, newer technology and style, if you would. So there's not a whole lot that you really need to do to change it up other than like cosmetic stuff. So there is definitely a different feeling up there. And I mean, it's not even like, I think it's 3 miles away from the crux of Mililani Town, yet the temperature changes when you get into Malka. And you've got these tall pine trees, and it feels like, oh, I'm supposed to wear a sweater up here. And it rains a lot more up there. It's so interesting. But I bought my first home in Mililani Malka.
I bought my first home
too. We were
Mililani
neighbors.
Malka.
We just found that out. But it was such a great place to start. For
perfect place for the young family or the older family, right?
Absolutely.
But just if you have kids running around, being able to do, I mean, even the schools over there too, right?
The schools are so good. And people, I remember even growing up, I had friends that lived in Honolulu. And I didn't understand it back then. At this point, I was 10 or 11 with one of my best friends. And wait, you live in Honolulu, but how come you go to school in Mililani? Oh, my mom got me district exception. You know, that's not really that available, but she was able to get it because her mom actually taught in the school in Mililani. But that was a big deal to be able to go to school there.
But so telling if they're willing to make that commute all the way from town just so their kids can, you know, receive that education over there.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Other, you know, there's so much that Mililani has to offer. I think of Town Center, right, as being one of the main focal points of just good eats, restaurants, markets, places to hang out, movie theaters, Starbucks, right? Speak to me a little bit about, just the pluses and benefits of Town Center.
I feel like for years, Mililani was a takeout town. So the restaurants were more like your fast food, like Mililani restaurant, right? You remember that. The noodles and the chicken katsu and just the delicious things that they're known for. But it was more, you know, your plate lunch, takeout style, family style. And then later, as Mililani Malka came, the town center really stepped up their game. So the Mililani Town Center now has California Pizza Kitchen, Asagio, Phuket Thai. What else am I missing? Ruby Tuesday. You know, so now there's places where you can actually go, sit down, and have fellowship with one another. Whereas before it was like, oh no, we just drove in traffic. We need to go home. We need to be together as a family, do homework, take a shower, watch a little bit of TV, go to bed. But now it's like, there's things to do on the weekend. Like at the town center, they'll have live performances in the middle. And then of course you've got the movie theater, which back in our day growing up.
That was the thing.
Did I just say back in our day? That is like...
It was kind of a while ago.
Back in my day, the movie theater in Mililani was like awesome. It was one of the largest theaters that wasn't at a mall. So it was like, it was nice to go there and just to feel safe.
My gosh. There's a lot of things that most people don't know about Mililani. I mean, when it comes to even places to hike, maybe there's lookout points, but what are some of the secrets that you can share with us?
I actually just discovered this secret recently because I've got some clients that live in Mililani and some family, and they've been enjoying these little secret pieces. But there are hiking trails.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And I guess that area in Mauka was really popular for hunters. And I think every now and then you'll still see them, but there's pigs back there. And so there's, they carved out trails. And the military also practices in the valley, in Mauka area. So I remember being at a friend's house one night. She was like, oh yeah, we hear them at night sometimes, running drills or whatever. So that's how some of those trails were also put in there. But it's really cool. Like you can hike down and there's freshwater streams, and my cousin catches shrimp.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's crazy.
The whole great outdoor experience just right in your backyard, pretty much.
It's pretty cool. And I never thought of Mililani as a lifestyle town, right? When you think of lifestyle, you think of Kailua, a place that you can go to the beach and enjoy people watching and shopping. Mililani is really not that. But I've discovered that there are some really cool things that you can do in Mililani, and hiking is one of them.
Absolutely. Anything else you can add regarding, just the things that makes Mililani stand out as just a town in itself? And I always see Mililani as one of those towns where if you really find your rhythm around town, there's really no reason to go out because there's so much to do, right?
It's so
There's so much to offer,
Mililani they're not building anymore in Mililani.
Okay.
So once Mauka was done, that was it.
Yeah.
And for a while there, it felt like, gosh, how many more homes are they going to build? And then it was like, can they please build some more? And it's like, no, there's no land left.
Yeah, once they're done, right?
Right. And then they moved on to Koa Ridge, which isn't very far from it.
Sure.
But, that in and of itself has caused there to be tremendous value in the homes there and the townhomes. So although I feel like the homes in Mililani are really what people desire, what people desire even more is the community. And so being able to just get into the community in a little townhouse, even the townhouses feel, plush and mainlandish.
Yes, absolutely,
And so I would say if you have an opportunity to get into Mililani, to do it. You and I can attest to that, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I bought there in 2008, and I got in at about 390,000.
Wow. Yeah.
We sold our place in around 8 years, and we sold it for 535. We could have sold it for more, but we chose a certain buyer at that point. But that unit, it was a townhouse. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Now it's about 700,000.
Oh my goodness, just like that.
So yes, the prices on Oahu keep going up.
Of course.
But Mililani is one where it's just people will do almost anything to be there because of the value they place on the community.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And with that, Mililani is just one of those ideal places, not only to invest in, to live in, but just everything surrounding it, from town center to, just even these hidden hikes and all these opportunities to be able to enjoy life. I really see it as an ideal for whether it's young families, kupuna for even singles, right? There's something for everybody.
And Mililani Mauka has the only retirement community where you can own the unit. It's called Olaloa. And so that's a huge plus as well. You have to be 55 years to live there, but you can actually be younger than 55 to own a unit. But typically people who are 55 and over are looking to own it. And it's just nice because it's a community where kupuna can live amongst people that are like themselves. And again, it's all about community. It's not only the rec centers and the restaurants, but it's about having people that are like you, that you can actually talk to, take a walk with, go have some coffee with. So that's really, I think that's what Mililani is. And to know it is to know it, and it's to love it. I think if you don't know, you just don't know, right? In your mind, it's like, Mililani's so far. Oh my gosh, there's traffic. But if you grew up there, if you lived there, if you've spent any amount of time there, you know what it's all about and you understand the value.
Yeah. And then even when it comes to traffic too, there's always pockets of just, you know, times where, I mean, I remember having to leave at maybe 6 in the morning just to be able to get into town, but it was just so worth it to be able to come back home to a place that really felt like, oh, like this is my mini kingdom, right? This is a place, my place of refuge, right? And so
people who work at Pearl Harbor or the joint base, they love Mililani because the proximity it's really easy. Actually, it's a straight shot. It's got great proximity to the North Shore. So you'll find a lot of people who live in Mililani are like fans of the North Shore and they surf all the breaks on the North Shore. I mean, my family, that's how a lot of them ended up there. They actually started in Haleiwa and then where are we going to settle down? Where are we going to raise our kids? Let's go to Mililani because North Shore is only like 30 minutes away.
It's not that bad of a drive.
Not at all. But it's just a great place to go home
to. Last question for you.
Yes.
What would you recommend for any prospective buyer saying, hey, Mililani is the town that I want to look at? What would be a good kind of starting point and just in terms of their education and just for them to gain more knowledge about, just what is it that this town is all about?
I think it's important if you don't know anything about Mililani, spend some time there.
Yeah.
Go to the Walmart.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, the Walmart
that in
in
itself,
Mililani is so awesome. And like, you know, have some coffee at Starbucks. Go watch a movie, right? Go to the parks and hang out with your kids and just get a real feel for it. And then you'll understand whether or not Mililani is for you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, again, guys, if you want to learn more about Mililani, you can contact Maila, who is our real exclusive expert when it comes to the town of Mililani. So thank you so much for being able to pour your insight and pour your knowledge up for us. But until then, we'll see you guys next time. Mahalo everybody for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk. Hungry for more? Well, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get updated for our next episode of Real Talk. We'll see you guys next time.